Greetings, greetings, greetings. You already know what it is. Sunny Days, 305 Degrees podcast. And on this segment, I want to talk about mental health. Mental health is kind of like a taboo subject to talk about, especially in Liberty City where I grew up at. It's because anytime somebody talk about psychology or psychiatrists, we was led to believe that if one needed that type of service, that they were crazy, or to be more accurate, insane. And so there has been a stigma, even right now, when we talk about mental health, especially men going to do some self-care and lay on the couch and see what's going on with their mental capacity. And so I remember when I was off in college and my daughter passed. And I didn't want to accept that. And so while my family was planning funerals and picking caskets, it could not register in my mind that my daughter had passed. And so for 1 year, man, I've been going through so much stuff that I don't even have enough time to explain it all. But my daughter, whenever she would come visit me, she would come on a Friday. And on Friday is when we have our religious services. And so while some people was used to me getting dressed on Fridays for my religious services or prayer or a visit, every Friday for a whole year, when people thought that I was waiting for a religious service move, I was standing waiting to hear them call me for a visit from my daughter. So I did that every Friday for a whole year. And so while my wife and my family was, planning funeral and picking out caskets and all that stuff there, I was totally disconnected from them because I could not believe that. So therefore, we was definitely not on the same page. And I almost sabotaged my marriage because of the grief that I was going through. And so I'm not going to tell you everything. You're going to have to read the book to get the full details of this story right here. But I'll say, to make a long story short, because I had been grieving for so long, and because that anger that I had started to feel brewing inside me over that course of time, it morphed into rage. And so I remember something moving my feet to go to the psychology department. Just after being a few seconds away of taking a man's life, not because of what he did, but because I did not know how to handle my grief properly. And in fact, I did not even know that I was grieving. And so when I went and talked to the psychiatrist, You know, I didn't lay on the couch, but I was looking for a couch because, you know, we've been hearing all these things about they want you to lay on the couch. So the first thing I did when I went in there, I looked for a couch, you know, and it was not a couch in there. So I did not lay on the couch. However, that new intel, that new data that she was giving me that wasn't present in my mind. And so as she started telling me the symptoms that I was going through and some of the things that I was feeling and some of the thoughts that I was thinking, when she was imparting that information in me, I felt like a different bursts of release, pressure release, anger release, anxiety release, sorrow release. And after that was over, I went back to talk to a guy that did not know that I was planning to take his life. I went back to him and hugged him and asked him, is it anything that I could do to help him? But had I not went to seek professional help, because a lot of times we think we're so smart, we think we could self-medicate, we think we could go through everything by ourselves, but there are some things that we can't go through by ourselves. We could go through them by ourselves, but you and I would experience what the hell is, being in hell, trying to go through that without proper professional guidance. And so the reason why I brought that up, and see, Sunny Days, see, we here to bring you light in a murky type vision or a blurry perception of things. So Sunny Days 305 shed light in your daisy type misunderstanding and misrepresentation of who's and who you are. And so my reason for even bringing this subject up today, because I am a man that goes out and experiences things. And so I don't tell you things. The stuff that I talk about is things that I experienced. So just the other day, as a matter of fact, yesterday, you know, after having some conversations with my wife sometime last week, I said, you know what? I need to go get this thing here checked out. You know what I mean? Just to see, you know, if I need a alignment. Because sometimes some of us will get so smart, or be so smart, till everything that we do is dumb. And so for me, from being in college for over 20-some years and coming out, I had noticed that I was operating in a free world with prison mentality and prison actions, unbeknownst to me. So there are some of us, especially that been off in prison, that done a lot of time in college, and we come back out into society in the so-called free world, never really finding a mechanism that can detach our prison mentality, our convict mentality, to bridge us where we can coalesce with society that has norms that goes contrary to how we was living in prison. And so for my brothers that's getting out, I am that mechanism, right? And so yesterday, I went to the psychologist, or I went to see a psychiatrist on yesterday. And ironically, there was a couch in there. That's the first thing I looked for when I went into the couch, so me, I be kind of like going against the grain. So in my mind, I knew I needed to go sit on the couch because she might want me to lay on the couch. But I went and sat in her chair. And so she told me, she said, no, sit over there on the couch. I said, here we go. And so I had got, some kind of apprehension about what people had said, man, am I crazy? Or, that's what I was thinking about on the way. I wonder, am I crazy? Am I doing some crazy things? And so since I thought that, it led me to go get this checked out, right? Because we get everything checked out. We get our car checked out. We check our oil. We check our husband. We check our wives. We check our bank accounts. We check our Facebook. We check a lot of things. But we don't check the capacity and the operating mechanisms in real time of the things that goes on in our minds that we are playing out in real life, not even knowing it. And so I have a plethora of examples that I could use to let us know that. And I'll just pick this one. So there was a time my wife and I, we was in the bathroom. I was doing some things in there, and she was doing some things in there in the bathroom, and I don't know if I looked over at the toilet, but she was looking at me, and when my eyes went to the toilet, her eyes went to the toilet too. And when she looked down in the toilet and looked back up at me, man, she went and got bleach and, man, all kind of scrub pads, and man, she went and scrubbing that toilet, and she was scrubbing it, and bruh, like, it's the way she was doing it that hurt me so bad I had to leave out. And I went, man, and found me a place, and I wept. Because in my mind, I want to say, man, how did I get my wife, whom I love so much? How did I get her to act like she was my cellmate? That means I had been doing something to her. I had been putting down on her. And I promise you, man, I've been thinking about that ever since that happened. And I can't even think of me ever telling her to clean the toilet. But the way that she was doing it, I must have did something that was very, very aggressive and very, very uncomfortable to my wife, whom I love. And I promise you I didn't know it, because if I knew it, I wouldn't have did it. So I always say, like, those of us that been in college for a long time, we suffer from PTSD, post-traumatic stress disorder. And that post-traumatic stress disorder is so deeply rooted in us that it had become a part of us, and then we come out. And then we have a person experiencing prison because of my action, and they have never been to prison before. Now, that's a psychological issue. There's some glitches going on in here when something like that happened, and you can't, or I can't even recall how that thing morphed into something that made me weak. So I say to especially our brothers, look. Because I went and seen the psychologist or the psychiatrist yesterday, I am fit today to have this important conversation with you. Because prior to going there, you know, a whole lot of things were going on in my mind, and I needed that front end alignment. And I am a better man today going to see a psychiatrist than I was a few days ago not having a visit to the psychiatrist. So I'm saying, so my brothers, man, look here. Put all of those myths that you heard about if you go see a psychiatrist, you crazy. Those are myths. And so even after my session with the psychiatrist, she told me, she said, hey, look, you don't need to come see me no more. You good. She said, for real. She said, you good. You don't need to come see me no more. If you want to text me from time to time, you can, but you good. And so for my brothers, go and let some professional tell you that you good. Because we always talking about how good we are, and bro, we could be the very, very worst thing that's walking around on the planet, doing some things to people that they're afraid to tell us that we're doing to them. And this is what gave rise to Sunny Days 305 Degrees podcast. It's a community podcast where we come, we sup together, we cry together, we pray together, and we become successful together. So I thank us for listening to this much needed message, as I am King Albert, literally the son of a queen. Peace. Greetings. This is Sunny Days 305 Degrees podcast. Our community said they wanted a platform that they could get their ideas and their messages out. Hence, Sunny Days 305 is on fire.